Hephaestus, is he the bestest of them all? Probably not, but he's a very solid god, and I think I was wrong to put him in B tier. Definitely deserves A tier after going through these boons, testing out all of them, and figuring out which ones are going to be the most helpful for you in your runs of Hades 2. If you like this kind of content, subscribe, like the video, it helps us out a lot. Join the Patreon, that's the best place to support us, and I'm putting these gods all on a tier list, that's what's deciding the order. Hephaestus won the first poll. People like the big boy. Check out the Magic the Gathering channel if you like Magic the Gathering. We're doing a bunch of different decks there, some with real cards, some with real fake cards that we're speculating. And check out Tulok the Barbarian if you like Dungeons and Dragons. Making new stuff all the time. All of those videos will be on the Sleeping with Tulok playlist linked in the description if you just want good stuff to watch while you're not watching it because you're sleeping and you just need noise in the background. A lot of Hephaestus' boons are really good, but there's one that I think kind of stinks, and I'm putting it in D tier. It's Tough Gain. I used to really love this one. It reduces the amount of damage you take. How could that not be good? Well, you've probably noticed a trend that I don't really like damage reduction because I would rather just not get hit. This is also a mana recovery boon, and you do recover a lot of mana. You just have to take a hit to do it, something I am desperately trying to avoid on all of my runs. Technically, if you're not recovering magic, that's good because you're not dying, so yeah, works great. You only recover magic if you get hit, and then you do better because you're using your magic again. Except I kind of want my runs to go fast, and if I have to stand still to take a hit, that's not fast, and also that's not good. The damage reduction is at most 4 damage per hit, which is not a lot considering how much damage the later enemies deal. The biggest problem though is it just locks you out of better mana recovery options that could get you your mana back faster without making you take a ton of damage to do it. And it doesn't work with the best Hephaestus build, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. Because with that build, you don't want to take any damage at all. So yeah, D tier, I don't think this one's all that great. It just isn't very fast and it isn't very convenient. Unlike today's sponsor, Factor. That's right, gamers, this video is sponsored by Factor. Factor is the best meal delivery service because they send you fresh, never frozen meals that are tasty and ready to eat in 2 minutes. In the time it takes for Homer to talk about how you won the past run, you could go make yourself a Factor meal. I actually think those cutscenes are like 30 seconds, but you get what I'm saying. These are fast meals and they're tasty. They're also good no matter what your dietary restrictions are. You trying to keep the calories low? Go for Calorie Smart. You want to bulk up? Get some Protein Plus. You want something that you just know is going to be tasty? Take any of them, but Chef's Choice is a great option for that. If you're vegetarian, vegan, if you're trying to stay on keto, Factor's got you covered. Factor also protects you from the takeout trap. You know how you think, oh, I'm going to get some chicken nuggets. That's going to be what, $10? And then you end up spending $22 because of all these delivery fees, all that nonsense. Factor meals are cheaper than delivery because you just get a bunch of meals delivered and then you eat them, and then they're better than the delivery you would get anyway. Factor also has delicious breakfast treats if you want to start your day with something simple, and because you watch our channel, they're giving you free breakfast for a year. Click the link in the description or go to factor75.com and enter offer code HEIGhtFB50 at checkout for free breakfast for a year and 50% off your first Factor box. Now let's get back to talking about those sweet, sweet boons. C tier time, there's a dash boon here. Are you surprised? Dash boons are always just kinda mid. I talked about it in the Zeus video, but I look at dash boons as one of two things. Either it activates origination with a status effect, or it sets you up for duo boons. Since most dash boons set you up for duo boons, one isn't really better than any other in that department, and this one doesn't have a status effect. Smithy Rush does 200 damage every few seconds. It's a ding-ding. It does qualify as a ding-ding and gets the boosts of other ding-ding boosting boons, but it's the worst ding-ding by far because it's on a dash, and you know, they're never gonna put anything all that great on a dash. Now, if you've souped up your ding-dings, this could be much better. If you've got Wolf Howl and that has the bonus of your dash boon on it, that makes it better, but there's a lot of ifs around that, and I'm kind of trying to look at these as just generic boons you'd add to any run. This one, not all that great, doesn't really help you out as much as the other ding-dings do, because the other ding-dings do a ding-dang lot more damage. Uncanny Fortitude is also down here. This is the one that gives you more health based off of your magic reserves. Now, I have always thought that that it's better to just get a good mana recovery boon than create a giant blue bar. So my blue bar investment is generally pretty low, which means that I don't get a lot of value from this boon. It also doesn't really work with Hephaestus's bestest build. That's something I really should start talking about. We'll talk about it with the next boon, I promise, but you don't need health for Hephaestus's best boon. There's other boons from Hephaestus that would help you in your Hephaestus's bestest build. This one doesn't really do that, and since I don't think investing in your blue bar is all that important, if you just have a good magic recovery boon and get 5 extra magic every few chambers from that arcana that automatically turns on pretty often, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think this one's all that great, and I think there are almost always going to be better boon options from Hephaestus. Now, if you are going for the biggest, reddest bar build, I guess this could help you out, and I guess if you're running strength instead of Death Defy, you want a big red bar, but if you're running strength with Hephaestus, again, the best build does not involve your HP at all. So, hey, let's start talking about it with this next boon that does actually help out the best build of Hephaestus. Security System. This one gives you a bunch of armor for the first 7 seconds of a fight, and basically kind of makes it so that you don't lose health the first 7 seconds of the fight. That's not bad, necessarily. It's probably the best of the C-tier boons, but since it all goes away after 7 seconds, that kind of stinks. The way armor is removed also kind of hurts this, because you would hope that if you're stacking a bunch of armor that is permanent from something like the Silken Sash, you would be able to keep that armor, and this armor would be the first armor that goes away, but that's not how it works. Unfortunately, your permanent armor gets taken away first, just really making this a lot worse than it could be. If this just refreshed 100 every time and that was what you lost, I think this would be B tier, A tier even, but as it stands with how armor works, I gotta put this in C tier. It's just kind of mid. However, I will say that it gets a lot better if you're doing the bestest Hephaestus build, which is Mel Stone. I called it Iron Mel. That was a mistake. Should have called it Mel Stone, where you make Mel as hard as a stone. If you need help remembering it, check out Mel Stone on Spotify. She's a friend. And also, you know, great tunes. If you like great tunes, check out Mel Stone. With the Mel Stone build, you get heavy metal, a boon we'll talk about later, that adds the amount of armor you have to the damage of each of your attacks. When you're using a fast weapon, that makes them do so much more damage, and this boon effectively becomes protection at the beginning of the fight, and also Hydraulic Might from Poseidon in one boon. So we're putting it at the top of C tier, but it could easily be at the bottom of B tier if you'd rather put it there. I just think a lot of the best things about it are kind of conditional on the other boons you have, so yeah, putting it at C tier. In B tier, we've got that Molten Touch. Ooh, it's so hot. Did he accidentally burn his fingies in the forge? This makes it so your attacks and specials do more damage to armor, and gosh, there's a lot of armored enemies out there. If you're rocking the Vow of Fangs, this bumps up to A tier, maybe even S tier. Vow of Fangs being the vow that gives armored foes additional abilities that can make them way more painful to deal with. So charging through that armor and getting rid of all that, pretty helpful. Also, armor makes things have super armor so that they don't get stunned by your attacks. That's annoying. Chewing through armor is great. So why isn't this an A or S tier? Well, because bosses don't have armor. And if it's not helping you against bosses and it's only helping you against basic enemies, you know, most of my health loss is coming from those big scary bosses, not from the basic enemies in the rooms between rooms. I want something that's going to help me out in every fight, not something that's going to help me out against some enemies, like half the enemies, I guess. A lot of bosses do summon ads that have armor. Even Typhon's eggs have armor somehow. I guess an egg, when you think about it, really is just armor. It's armor for the tasty egg that's inside. Okay, so fine, eggs can have armor. But most bosses, the ads go away super quickly. They're not hanging around super long when you're fighting Eris. They're definitely not hanging out a long time when you're fighting Prometheus. You should just be clearing phases fast enough that you don't have to deal with the ads, or the ads are so small that they die anyway. However, it's not bad. And if it shows up in your boon pool and you're not building around the rest of Hephaestus' stuff, this is just kind of a flat upgrade. It's pretty good. Not great. Martial Art is conditional on the type of weapon you're using. This is his elemental boon that gives you a percentage boost to your damage based on how many rock elements you have. And if you got a lot of rock elements and you're rocking a big heavy weapon that wants percentage-based boosts, this can be pretty dang solid. If you're rocking the daggers or the torches or the jetpack, it's a little less solid. Still not bad. It's an upgrade, but a lot more valuable on some other weapons that you would rather have big percentage boosts to rather than small, tiny little percentage boosts. B is really the conditional tier where everything's okay but could be really good. Again, I don't think a lot of boons in this game are bad. I don't think a lot of bosses are bad. I don't think a lot of anything in this game is bad, but some of it gets better in certain situations and some of it's just kind of good all the time. And so when I'm reviewing these tiers and I'm putting things in places, I'm trying to put things in places where they're good all the time, not just some of the time. I know that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that I said that. None of you care, but I care, so I'm saying it again anyway. Anvil Ring. It's a cast that does some damage, but they're not ding-dings. They're just damage. The damage is pretty good and upgrades pretty well with some palms. However, Hephaestus's kit is the best palmable kit in the game, especially those attacks and specials. So if you're rocking a mostly Hephaestus build and you get a palm, probably not putting it on your cast. You're probably putting it on the attack or the special or even the dash. Now, if you're only rocking a little bit of Hephaestus, this I think actually gets better and you want to upgrade it more and have a cast that does some solid damage. You set it, you forget it, it's damage. That's nice. My biggest problem with it is just that it doesn't activate origination and can't in any way, whereas a lot of other cast boons can help you out. You can just slap them down. That's a status effect. You just gotta find one more. Suddenly you're carving the bosses up with a bunch of extra percentage damage. This just kind of does some damage, and that damage is pretty good, but it's not all that great. So weirdly, this one gets better if you don't have a lot of Hephaestus and don't want to upgrade the other stuff. Grand Caldera makes all of your ding-dings better. They do more damage in a bigger area. Something interesting to note is that this is a flat upgrade for all ding-dings. Smithy Rush gets as upgraded as Volcanic Flourish and Volcanic Strike, making this really, really good if you have Smithy Rush and pretty darn good if you have those other two. The only issue is, again, how invested are you in Hephaestus? Are you going for a full ding-ding build, which I would say is a very viable strategy? I've done it multiple times, and oh my god, it's such a viable strategy. It's so good. Ding-dings are fantastic. I'm sorry I put him in B tier. He should have been in A tier. Love me a solid ding-ding build. But if you've only got one ding-ding and you haven't palmed it, and the rarity is bad, this isn't going to add all that much extra damage all that often. It really just depends on how invested you are in Hephaestus. Your Hephaestus investuses, of course, is how the community would refer to that, I'm sure. But if you're highly investusus in Hephaestus, I think Grand Caldera pretty darn good. Up to A tier, we've got Trusty Shield. This one primes a bit of magic and gives you some armor at the start of every fight. Huh. That sounds a lot like security system, but with a penalty and less armor. So why the heck are you saying it's better? Well, it lasts longer than 7 seconds. I think one of the best Arcana cards in the game is the one that gives you some free hits against a boss. And if you have that on, security system, ideally will not help you at all against a boss because hopefully the boss does not hit you 3 times in the first 7 seconds of the fight. This one hangs out longer. Because of how armor works, the fact that it's a small amount of armor doesn't really matter all that much. Because if a boss does 4 billion damage to you and you have 1 armor, you take 1 armor worth of damage. And then you're fine. It absorbs everything. Kind of like the Demeter boon, Snow Shield, or whatever it's called. Corey will find out what it's called. That protects you from the first hit in every room, except this one actually upgrades well. When you upgrade this, it doesn't reduce the amount primed like that stupid snow barrier. It increases the amount of armor you get. It also doesn't get chumped by some smaller hit. How many times are you rocking that snow barrier and you get chumped by one tiny little hit that would have done 3 damage and your barrier goes away and then someone smacks you for 60? That sucks when that happens. I hate it. This one, if someone's only doing dinky little combo hits to you, you're going to be able to keep your armor longer as you pan Volcanic and get the hell out of there. You're not going to lose it because you stood on fire for a second. You're going to lose one tick of it while you have 20 more ticks of it that can take tiny little tick damage and not totally screw you over. It's also a damage boost with heavy metal if you're doing Mel Stone as your build and making your Mel as armored up as possible, which I think is the best Hephaestus build. I thought it was kind of hard to activate, which is why I put Hephaestus in B tier, but having played the game more and knowing that that strategy is so good, I've tried to do it on follow-up runs, and it's not that hard. It's not hard at all. If Hephaestus is in your boon pool, you just get that heavy metal and then switch to Silken Sash in the second chamber. It's fantastic. It's so good. We'll talk more about that later. But right now, yeah, Trusty Shield, this is a trusty, reliable one. It's gonna be good on any build. Any build could take a few free hits at the beginning of a fight. That'd be helpful on anything. So yeah, this is an A tier build. It's super great. If it was more armor, it'd be S tier. It's not more armor. If it's stacked on top of itself, it'd be S tier. It doesn't. So yeah. A tier. Now we've got the Volcanic Strike and Volcanic Flourish. The Flourish does more damage, it takes more time to ding-ding. The Strike does less damage and ding-dings faster. Both of these upgrade so well with palms. Other attack and special boons, when you get a palm, you're boosting it by maybe like 4% value, 5% value, depending on the rarity. With this, if you go from a 10-second ding-ding to a 9-second ding-ding, that's a 10% increase. If you're going from 5 to 4, 20% increase. You can get this down to 2 seconds and ding, 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 ding. I think they're the best upgradable boons in the game, so why aren't they in S tier? Well, they don't activate Origination, and they kind of stink at lower rarities. If you start off with one of these at common, it's gonna ding-ding every like 13 seconds, every 10 seconds, and that kinda sucks. That's way too slow and doesn't help your damage. But the way I build my Arcana, I'm always getting at least rare, maybe epic. You should be getting good levels for these boons, and if you get good rarity on these boons, even rare rarity or better, I would say they are fantastic, and again, upgrade super well. Every time you find a palm, you just put it on one of these, and your build is gonna get a lot better and to do damage a lot faster. They pair really, really well with crit-focused builds, because if the ding-ding crits, that damage becomes massive, which is also fantastic if you're rocking Mel Stone because of the final section of Mel Stone, which is the funniest section of Mel Stone and is the funniest thing you can do in this goddamn game. God, I love it so much. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I think you get it, right? Volcanic Attack, Volcanic Flourish, they're good. They're solid. Let's go to S tier and talk about Heavy Metal. Heavy Metal gives you a bunch of armor and gives you a bonus to your damage equal to the amount of armor you have. It's better on faster weapons. It's worse on slower weapons. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't care. This is my favorite boon in the game. Oh, but your tier list has to be objective. No, it doesn't. Get out of here. What do you think, that I'm the perfect player and I've mathematically calculated all of the perfect scenarios? No, I'm a human being, and the Mel Stone run is so goddamn funny. If you get this, you throw on Silken Sash as soon as you can. Then you're gaining armor every single room and you're getting more damage on each attack every single room. Because if you know you're going for this, don't have any death defies. Keep strength. That's right, strength perverts. I'm encouraging you right now. The strength multiplication on your damage and the fact that you will never lose any health because you are just going to build up so much armor makes this shred everything. Then you go 2 chambers with the Silken Sash, build up like 400 armor. You get Trusty Shield, you get Security System, and then you switch to White Antler, which cuts your health down to 30 and gives you a 30% critical hit chance. If you're rocking a bunch of Hephaestus boons, which you probably are if you're going for the Mel Stone run, those crits hit your ding-dings and do insane amounts of damage. You just delete rooms. Oh, what happens if I lose the armor? You won't, because everything's gonna die too fast. Does that work on higher fear? Yes, it does, if you're not a coward and you know how to press that circle button and dodge, unless you keep it on another button. I don't know what your button layouts are. I like it to be on the circle button. I just find that the easiest way to move and the most comfortable when I'm using the torches. But you know, hey, everyone's different. There's nothing wrong with it, even if you use mouse and keyboard. You might like some other boons that I don't because I play on controller. I would try to express that playing on controller makes some boons better and playing on mouse and keyboard makes some boons better, and since I play on controller, that I think that those boons that work better on mouse and keyboard aren't all that great, but apparently that's sacrilegious, so I'm sorry. Anyway, Melstone, it's fantastic. I think heavy metal is one of the best boons in the game. It's my favorite boon in the game, probably, if I had to pick a boon, and I would say S tier, best one. Go for it, do it. I don't care. Disagree, fight the wall. I'm not listening. Heavy metal. Go Melstone, learn the power of sweet, sweet armor, and learn the power of shredding it up, and I think you'll have a great time. And if you're not good at it, that's a skill issue. That's apparently what you get to say when people don't like the same boons you do. You just say skill issue, and then it's fine. Oh, we do have one more boon that I think is S tier. It's Furnace Blast. It puts glow onto all of your ding-dings, which makes you do more damage for 5 seconds. Every form of damage you do does more damage for 5 seconds. You got the big moon you want to drop? Get some glow on. Because the cooldown is 5 seconds, if you can get your ding-ding to below a 5-second cooldown, you actually get a damage boost on your ding-ding. The upgrades also scale really well off of palms. This is a really solid status effect to add to your attacks. I wish it was just standard on the ding-ding, but I understand that it's not, because ding-dings do so much damage that if they also had a status effect that activated origination, that'd be pretty busted. I understand that, and I understand why they need to separate this out and put it on something else. At least it's not like Apollo, where when they add the status effect to your attack, it's only a percentage of the time, and oh, also you can just get it on the sprint for free. I really don't like that boon. We'll get to that in Apollo. I just think you're getting robbed. I think you're frankly getting robbed if you're taking that boon as an Apollo enjoyer. Hey, at least I didn't dunk on Ares this time, right? So what's your favorite Hephaestus boon? Do you think Hephaestus sucks? Do you think the ding-dings take too long and you busted out your calculator and found out that other gods do more damage faster? Okay, nerd. I like the big damage number. Just let me know in the comments. It's fine. I hope we're having a playful argument here and we're not actually hurting each other's feelings, because this is a funny game. Let's have fun, okay? Join the Patreon if you want to support the channel, and if you want to vote for the next god you want to see. If you want to see me talk shit about Apollo, if you want to see me talk shit about Ares, get in there and vote for them faster. Otherwise, vote for gods that I like, like Hera. That'd be fine too. Check out the other channels and check out the Sleeping with Tulok playlist if you want to watch all of our videos from across all of the channels. I hope you have a great night. I hope you have a great day, and I hope I see you next time. Bye-bye.